Welcome to Soul Inspirit, where spirituality meets real life. I'm Summer Paradiso, a psychic medium, intuitive guide, yoga teacher, and artist here to help you reconnect with your highest self. Here, we dive into the practices that strengthen your connection to intuition, higher self, spirit, and source. We'll explore my signature Soul Inspirit method, a fusion of movement, meditation, and creative expression designed to help you release emotional blocks and reclaim your power. Because to move through life with alignment and ease, we must first embrace vulnerability. Whether you're just spiritually curious or fully immersed in the ocean of woo-woo, this is your space to explore grounded spirituality. Expect soulful convos, real-life stories, creative tangents, and grounded practices to support your transformation. So take a deep breath, grab your coffee, tea, or whatever keeps you sane, and let's explore how to bring more magic, meaning, and soul alignment into your everyday life. Let's do this. Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to today's episode of Soul Inspirit. I'm your host, Summer Paradiso, and today we are going to talk about manifestation, connecting to your intuition, and how the Soul Inspirit method can help you access both faster. Now, today we're not going to talk about techniques on how to manifest or how to connect to your intuition. Rather, we'll talk more about the prerequisites that you need in order to manifest and connect to your intuition. Let's first just describe what exactly I mean when I say manifestation. When I'm referring to manifesting something, I am speaking to when you are asking the universe, spirit, your highest self, to place something in your path for you to have access to. This might mean abundance or money. It might be a car. It might be to have a child. It might be to find a relationship. It might be to have a new job opportunity or a promotion. It might be something small like a really good parking spot at a concert. Manifestation is basically when you are thinking about having something as if it's already happened, and you leave the how to the universe. And when we are manifesting, we are trying to shorten or collapse the timeline between not having the thing and having the thing. When I talk about intuition today, I am talking about the channel in which you communicate with source, spirit guides, highest self, universe, God, past loved ones, whatever it is that resonates with you. Intuition is the mode by which you communicate. And then finally, the Soul and Spirit method, which I will get into later, is my holistic approach to removing emotional blocks from your body by using movement, meditation, and creative expression all together. So let's start off with manifestation. I want you to picture a closet. And if this is your closet of manifestation, think of it filled from floor to ceiling with clothes and boxes and memories and trinkets. It is full. Now picture something you want to manifest. Let's just say a few new outfits. If these new outfits cannot fit into the closet because it is so full, then they cannot fit in that manifestation space. The point I'm making here is that in order for you to manifest something new in your life, you must create space for it first. Otherwise, it does not matter how many times you write, "I desire this" in your journal, or the amount of times that you think about having that new car and picturing yourself in it and having it, or picturing a full bank account. It does not matter how many times you do that, because if you have not created space, both physically and energetically, for this new manifestation, it cannot fit into your life. So A real life example that I experienced in late 2025, so I just recently got over this, was a very sneaky emotional block of mine related to scarcity. And I've worked on a lot of money mindset stuff, but this one was sneaky because it was a scarcity mindset in relationship to stuff. I am someone who places value on things, and I don't necessarily mean expensive things, although I like those too, but I mean more of a sentimentality and really cherishing objects or clothes or items because of the experience they remind me of. And a particular struggle I had this past fall was trying to manifest some more abundance, trying to bring in more abundance in my life in new and creative ways, and just feeling really stuck and blocked with it. And then realizing that I need to make space. I needed a purge. And so I started to purge, and some things were easy to get rid of, some clothes I haven't worn in a few years, some items I haven't paid attention to. Sure, those are easy to donate. However, there were some items that were really challenging for me to get rid of. And what I'll share here is half a drawer's worth of CrossFit shirts that said coach on them. For those of you who don't know, I was a CrossFit coach for 9 years, and it was a huge part of my identity. Not so much that it was CrossFit and that brand, but that I really valued my time as a teacher to people and helping them get out of their comfort zone so much that they surprised themselves with what they were capable of. I love teaching people how to use their bodies to do hard things. And I love watching how that is not only physical empowerment, but emotional and spiritual empowerment. And I do this now through yoga and meditation and creative expression. And so this CrossFit coaching really primed me as a teacher and guide for what I'm doing now. So the term coach, printed in big block letters on the backs of these tank tops, was holding value to me in that it felt like it was holding the energy of the woman who was a CrossFit coach. Now, I still go to my amazing gym. Shout out to Stability CrossFit because I've been there since 2015. I still love going and I love working out, but I don't coach CrossFit anymore. So I cannot roll up to the gym wearing a shirt that says coach on it because new members who don't know me from when I coached might be confused, and I don't feel like it's appropriate. And I really went in to investigate, like, okay, why do I feel like I need to keep these shirts? Why do they need to stay in my life? While I'm trying to manifest new things, but they're taking up space both energetically in my body and physically in my drawer. It was a lot of shirts. It was like half a drawer's worth. And I realized that when I was a coach, I was also at my strongest. I was competing. I was the strongest I think I've ever been, the most flexible, the most fierce and powerful that I ever felt until now. And I was placing the energy of those identities of a leader, of a coach, of powerful. I was putting that into the shirt when really I am the one who is holding that energy. The shirt's just fabric. When I was able to make this distinction, and it was hard, and for some of you, you might be like, Summer, is just a shirt. Well, you might have an energetic block somewhere else, but this was what it was for me. So I got rid of them. And full transparency, I kept a few, I think 2. So I've kept a couple, and they're in my art studio, and I use them as paint cloths now. And They will spend a little more time with me, with my paintings, and then they will also be discarded. And it will not be the energy, the leadership, the power, the strength that went along with when I wore them. It will just be the cloth that is discarded because I hold on to the energy. But in discarding these physical items, I created physical space, which then translated to emotional and spiritual space in my body because I released the block of attachment, of clenching to these items as if they were part of my identity. When I went through this big purge, and the CrossFit shirts was just some of this, guys. This was like a week-long purge and a very large transformation. I cried probably every day as I was getting rid of stuff. So more stories to come. But what I wanted to share is the second day after I had gotten rid of a whole bunch of stuff, I found $200 in cash in one of my purses, which I don't know where that cash came from. I don't know if it was tips from a wedding painting. I have no idea, but I found cash. And in this purging process, I also inspired / voluntold my husband that he was also purging some things. And the day after he started purging his office and some of his stuff, he uncovered both of our savings bonds, and those things were mature. So we went to the bank and we were like, oh my God, look at this. And so this is one, clean out your shit, guys, but two, a very cute wink from the universe as a validation that when you clear out your shit, you have space for something else, something new. And so that was a really beautiful experience and a very concrete example of what I'm trying to say. When you are trying to manifest something, you have to make space. Another example that I can give is if you're someone who's trying to manifest a new relationship and you have not gotten over or gone through all of the shit from past relationships, what can happen is no matter how much you manifest, your dream qualities in a person, if you still have those emotional blocks from past relationships that you have not worked through, then you are either going to, one, just not attract anyone, or two, your attraction to a new person is going to be informed by your emotional blocks. And therefore, you will not be attracting someone who matches this magical list that you are trying to manifest. You must clear out the old to bring in something new and different. Let's segue for a second too and give you some clarity on what emotional blocks are, because if you haven't been here a minute, you may not have heard me talk about this yet. Emotional blocks are essentially the residue or spin-off from experiences that you have had. These can be from big T trauma. It can be from little t trauma. It can be literally from one experience in 3rd grade with a teacher telling you that you were bad at something. Emotional blocks can be all shapes and sizes. They can inform different chakras in your system. They can inform multiple chakras in your system. Some are so deep-seated that it takes years and years to excavate, and some are smaller and easier to work through. All of them are energetic, tangled balls that are blocking your energy space. And I often think of this as like the channel from the crown of my head moving down throat, heart, chest, all the way down to my pelvis, like in the line of where the chakras are. And so this leads me into when I talk about the intuitive channel. Because if you think of this straight line going from your root chakra all the way up to your crown, so your seat all the way up through the crown of your head, think of it like a hallway. And the more emotional residue or emotional blocks that are there, the more this hallway is cluttered and crowded and harder to walk through or shout to the opposite end. Think of it if there's boxes and tables and chairs and dust and whatever else you can think of. If there's more stuff, i.e., emotional blocks, it is harder to see from one side to the other. It is harder to walk from one side to the other. It would be hard to hear from one side to the other. And this is what I refer to as the intuitive channel. When this is cluttered, your everyday actions are informed by the clutter, the emotional blocks. This often means that you are existing in an autopilot variation of fight or flight because you do not have a clear channel to hear inner wisdom because that shit's blocked, right? When the hallway is clear, then you can hear the person on the other side, whatever they're saying, and you don't have to try that hard to listen. Whereas if someone's shouting across a bunch of stuff, it would be harder to make out what they're saying, and it would be harder to focus on it because there's so much shit in the way. So clearing out the emotional blocks also helps you connect to your intuition or your intuitive channel. I will use the term highest self now, but also know that you can interchange this with source, spirit guides, universe, whatever you're wanting to pull your wisdom from. So how do these two work together, this space for manifestation and connecting to intuition? As I said earlier, when someone's manifesting, they are focusing on the outcome or the feeling of the outcome. They are relinquishing control and surrendering to the how, allowing the universe to provide the stepping stones and breadcrumbs to lead you to the manifestation. Now, how do you know what the stepping stones are or breadcrumbs are? You find those out through signs, symbols, and synchronicities. So thinking, seeing a butterfly or a fox or repeating numbers. The universe or your highest self is going to send you these little breadcrumbs to help guide you in the direction of what you are trying to manifest. Now, if you have a clogged up hallway, you are not going to be paying attention to the signs and symbols that are going to guide you to your manifestation. You're going to be focusing on the shit in the hallway. So it is imperative that you clear out these emotional blocks so that you can be primed to pay attention to what your highest self is sending you so that you can get what you want to manifest faster. So bottom line, too long didn't read. You must create space to bring in or manifest something new. And you must create space to be able to pick up on the breadcrumbs that are leading you to that manifestation. Now I can hear all of you being like, okay, great. How? I want the things. I'll do it. What do I do? This is where the Soul and Spirit method comes in. Again, movement, meditation, and creative expression as a means to remove all of the shit in the hallway so that you have space to manifest and you have space to hear your highest self. The way I teach this method is movement first with a very specific yoga flow. It's yoga based, although I will say there are some non-yoga elements that I throw in there. But I say it's specific because I curate it to pinpoint specific energy centers in your body in an effort to clear out specific chakras. So it might be focused on heart or on root or on throat, because there are common energetic blocks with each chakra. The movement, one, gets you out of fight or flight. It moves you into alpha because the brain is forced to focus on moving the body. And especially in repetitive movements, your brain shuts off fight or flight. It starts to move into that flow state. So the movement is not only breaking up the energy in these specific places in your body, it is also helping you move into a brainwave state of receiving information, which is why the next portion is meditation. I say meditation in that it is a guided visualization where you are taken to a scenario, a memory. It varies tremendously based on what we're trying to remove. But it's basically this opportunity for guided self-inquiry to better understand the root causes and memories that started specific emotional blocks, so that once they're pinpointed and identified, the energy block can be removed and the wisdom can remain. So you're making space by identifying and removing the emotional block, and yet you still get to keep the wisdom. We're not like Men in Black erasing memories. Now, a lot of people could argue that a yoga meditation practice is what you need to be able to remove emotional blocks. And if that works for you, that is great. What I have found is that is not the case. You have to have creative expression because you need an outlet for the energy that was broken up, identified, and then ready to be removed. Because your body and spirit will simply reabsorb this energy if you do not expel it. And so I require my students to engage in creative expression. Now, this is not to create an artwork that is going to hang on the wall. Sometimes it works out that way, but I want to be very clear in speaking to the creative process that is necessary, the action of creating, not the action of creating for an outcome. And I will say this is hard for my perfectionists and my people who love to do Pinterest projects and have an idea in mind of what they want the outcome to be, because that's not the point. The point is the creation itself. And it is often my perfectionists who transform the absolute most through the creative expression activities that I have for my clients. This process is repeatable. It is accessible for anybody because you do not have to be a yogi, you do not have to be an artist, and you do not have to be good at meditating. Because real talk, everyone is thinking what they're having for dinner at some point in a meditation. And the whole point of this guided visualization is to help you look a little deeper. If you go rogue in the meditation, if you fall asleep, it is okay because your subconscious is still doing the work. I want everyone to have an opportunity to experience my Soul and Spirit method so that they can feel what it's like to have extra space in their body. Because so many of you are existing in autopilot fight or flight and don't even remember what it's like to have space in your body or what it's like to hear your inner voice, your inner wisdom, or your inner intuition. And if you heard it, you wouldn't even trust it. And so I want you to have an opportunity to experience this So I'm hosting a free workshop on Wednesday, February 4th from noon to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It is completely free. It is virtual. There will be a replay for those of you that are like, I have to work. It is accessible for all of you when you register. It is called Intuition Online. And the purpose of this is very specifically to create space so that you can reconnect to your inner voice. Start to see signs and synchronicities so that you can start to access what you want to manifest faster. The link is in the show notes to sign up, and I would love to see you there so that you can start listening to your intuition, manifesting the shit that you want, and feeling more open and expansive in your everyday life. I'll see you guys there. Talk soon. Thanks so much for listening to Soul Inspirit. If this episode moved you, sparked something, or just made you feel a little more like yourself, I'd be so grateful if you left a review or shared it with someone you love. It helps more souls find this space and join us in raising the collective vibration. If you have questions, thoughts, or just want to share what came up, I'd love to hear from you. DM me on Instagram or email me anytime. Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and keep showing up, because the real magic shows up when you do. With so much love, see you soon.